Hi, my name is Kathy Lynch, and I am the new host of the Press Forward program. I am looking forward to interviewing people across the state who want to make Massachusetts a better place. Today, I am introducing someone in a minute or so, who has been out there, and I've seen her for several years within the health sector and also in political circles. So today, I have brought for my first show, Lynne Archambault. Welcome, Lynne Archambault.
Kathy, thank you so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you. For the viewers, they should know that you are running for state representative in the 1st Middlesex District.
Correct.
And you also have a career in the health sector. So let's start with your health background and what you do for your career.
Okay. Starting when I was very young, I played sports, and then after college, I started teaching fitness classes. And from then, I was always interested in the health field, excuse me, for my own life personally, and then for my kids. And as an adult, later, I opened a gym in Pepperell called Arch Fitness. So I started that from nothing and built a successful business, which I owned for about 15 years. And recently I sold it. But that progressed into me wanting to make a change and kind of follow my passion of fitness and health and wellness. And I became a teacher. I had worked for an IBM partner as a sales operations manager. I have a business degree, and decided I want to follow my kind of my passion, and I decided to teach high school kids. So I got my master's in health and wellness education and became a high school teacher.
Masters of Health and Wellness. That sounds so good. Yes. There was at one point where I studied health coaching, and I got certification as a health coach. So you and I have that in common. We really care about the health and well-being of people.
Absolutely.
So how many years did you run Arch Fitness?
It was 15, about 15 years. I started it as just kind of a outdoor workout thing, and then so many people became interested and really enjoyed it that I ended up renting space and then moving a couple different times to bigger facilities. And I still actually teach classes there, although I sold it. So yeah, I still love it.
That's great. So 15 years as a small businesswoman, you can talk to the people out there when you're campaigning for state representative and let them know that you know how to run a small business, and you know probably the ins and outs and probably how tough it is, right, to be an entrepreneur and run your own business.
I mean, absolutely. It is very challenging, especially Massachusetts consistently has been reported to be one of the worst states to do business in, which sadly, it's tough for small business owners. And that's one of the things, one of my goals is to work on making Massachusetts a better place for small businesses to thrive, because that brings more families in and more jobs, more opportunity.
Speaking of family, you have children. Tell us about your children.
I have 3 children in my 20s. And I'm a new grandmother, actually.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. Yes, I have a grandson. He's a month and a half old. And it's wonderful. But my kids are all kind of making their way in the world now, looking for homes, and they work in the state. And yeah, so I want to make Massachusetts a place that young families can buy homes and make it affordable for people like that.
They're young adults, you said.
Correct, yes.
And that makes me think that it's very tough for young adults to be able to afford a new home. Is that correct?
It's very correct, sadly. But it's not even just tough for young adults. What we're seeing, it's also tough for seniors who may have been in their home for 50 years plus. And now what's happening is higher and higher property taxes are driving them out of their homes. And at least in the 1st Middlesex District, we have a shortage of homes where seniors can go and live affordably. And many of them are complaining that they're going to have to leave their family home, and it's a sad thing. So,
Well, tell us what it is that made you want to run for state representative, and maybe part of it was that, I don't know, but tell the viewers what the reason is.
I'll say that I've been a teacher now for 10 years, and I think what initially or prompted me to want to run is, public schooling and my love for education and my love for kids, and seeing some of the issues with the public schools, the lack of funding, the many mandates that have been happening. We're not funding our public schools. The state is using its money in other ways, when it should be, creating great schools, protecting our elderly, protecting our veterans. So for me, I think that prompted it. And then just living in Massachusetts, I kept saying to myself, I love Massachusetts, but I felt like I'm complaining about it so much. Should I move? And then I thought, wait, I'm not going to move. I love Massachusetts. I'm going to run and make some changes because I feel like I will be a good representative for our district.
Lynn, that sounds beautiful, because there are a lot of people who can't afford to live here. They're moving out. Driving through town, I see lots of signs up, people selling their homes, not just in summertime when it's more popular, in springtime, but now in the fall. And it is becoming less affordable for people. Now, interestingly, the schools, for the taxes, we spend more money on taxes for schools than anything else in town. And it makes me wonder, what are we spending so much money on in the schools? And yet I hear that you think there isn't enough. So tell me what the schools are missing.
I truly think that as far as the schools, could they be better run? Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement and things of that nature in any organization. However, I think a big part of the problem is the mandates that the states put on the schools and then don't fund them. I know in the school district I work in, for example, it's a regional school, and that means for busing, we have to comply with a seat for every student. It's very, very expensive. The state had promised to fund that when we became a regional school district, and they don't fund it anymore. So we have a real problem with busing. A few towns in my district are struggling with that. But it's not just that. The state puts these mandates. You have to have this, you have to have this, you have to have this. So we're left with shouldering the burden of that, and taxpayers are having to fund that. And as you know, I think it happened in Westford. In every town in the first Middlesex District, there's 6 towns, every single town had a Prop 2.5 override vote, because the school budgets are obviously the highest. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, there were a lot of override requests throughout the state, and some made it, some didn't. Tell me, what else is it that you would like to see changed in Massachusetts, other than education, which sounds like a big plank for you? Are there other things that you think could be improved?
Absolutely. Like, for example, we talked about small business. I mean, obviously, that's one of my passions there. Look, for example, at Massachusetts-based New Balance, which is a Massachusetts company, and it just recently moved to New Hampshire. It built a $70 million facility 12 miles over the border in New Hampshire. So we're losing big companies.
We lost Red Hat in Westford, just so you know.
Yeah. So we're losing big companies. We're losing owners of big companies. They don't want to pay the taxes. Even Bill Belichick said we're losing recruits to Boston-based sports. The Celtics said the same thing this past spring because the millionaire's tax. And, yes, people, like Massachusetts, we're a wealthy state here, but our priorities are screwed up, and now we're driving people out of the state with these higher and higher taxes. So something's got to give.
Well, also, when you door knock, do you see that people are as well off as you thought they might be?
I'm actually seeing, I'm really sad about what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people struggling. One of the main things that they talk about is paying their bills, paying for groceries. I know in Lunenburg and Townsend, Ashby, electric bills are skyrocketing. They have Unitil, which is very high-priced utility company. So people are struggling paying their bills. Their houses, they can't maintain their houses. I see that a lot. They can't make ends meet. Both parents are having to work. They're struggling with childcare because it's so expensive. We need to make Massachusetts more affordable. You know, Massachusetts has a lot of money. We're a wealthy state, but we've just voted to spend $1.8 billion on illegal migrants here for their housing, their shelter. And yes, we want to help people coming to our state. I'm not anti-immigration, I'm pro-immigration. But we cannot keep up our right to shelter laws because we only, even though we chose to spend $1.8 billion on illegal migrants here to shelter them, we voted only to spend $1.3 billion on the rest of the 351 cities and towns with local aid. That's absurd.
That's not in balance at all, is it?
It's not in balance. And, you know, that's another thing. I would like to bring more balance back to our state. I do believe in a two-party state, but we don't have that. We have a supermajority. And even the Boston Globe, which is very left-leaning, says some of the Democrats are saying that the state legislature is very inefficient because it's a supermajority. So.
The other thing that's interesting is that legislator and auditor Diane DiZoglio, right? She brought the ballot question 1 to the forefront to audit the legislature.
Yes.
She's doing an amazing job with the auditing everywhere else, but then when she comes to the legislature, now they're pushing back. They don't want to be audited. Let me just guess, you're a yes on question 1?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing so much bipartisan support. Well, not a lot, but she's a Democrat. We're seeing a lot of Republican support for that question. It's one of the least transparent states, government-wise, in the country. I think we need to change that.
Pretty concerning. So what is it that? Okay, so you brought 3 things up. You brought up small business, you care about small business, you brought about education, you care about that, and you're concerned about the immigration. Is there anything else that you're concerned about or you think can be better, or even something that you think is really run well here, to kind of mix it up a bit?
Actually, so I want to kind of talk about bringing balance back to our legislature some more. I think that when we are able to bring back that spending, remember just a few short years ago we were given checks back because we had so much in excess revenue in the state of Massachusetts.
You and me, the taxpayers, right?
Correct.
And all the others out there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So think about our cities and towns, our infrastructure, how we struggle now to pave our streets, to keep our bridges safe. Think of what we could do with that money in our cities and towns and make them grow and expand. As far as, I remember being young, and there were, you know, before in town meeting, they wanted to buy land from people to build recreational centers or like fields, things for kids. We can't do that anymore. In our towns, the budgets are so tight. What will we do? How do we make our towns better places to live in?
Now, I want to throw something out there. When it's election season, money seems to come into town for playgrounds and things like that. It's a great draw for voters. So the legislators get this nice picture in front of the playground, and they just got money for the playground. And all the families buy it that, oh, they do such a good job because they got this little bit of money to put together a nice playground.
Right.
And that's one of the advantages of being an incumbent, right?
Correct.
You get
Yes.
the money to make it look like you're doing a good job. Meanwhile, they're selling us out with the $1.8 billion going to people who didn't even come here legally.
Correct. And yes, I mean, and we have to keep in mind those grants that we receive in our towns, which are fantastic. They're one time. It's our money. It's our money. It's the taxpayers' money that we're having to plead with them to get back, and then oftentimes it comes with maybe some strings attached. Well,
Right.
We'll give you this if you vote this way.
Right. I think it's really important to look at that strings attached thing. With the COVID thing, there was a big push to mask up, test up, vax up, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a carrot, right? There was the ARPA funds, right? Well, you get all this money if you follow this. But then they're mandated to push these things on people that they may not even need. Does that make sense to you? Do you?
No, none of that ever made sense to me, honestly. There were so many things that did not make sense and were unfair in our community and just not right. And that was very crystal clear to me when it was happening. And yeah, it's still clear to me to this day that the way that was handled was not well done.
Right. And even the Republican governor was very proactive in pushing all those
mandates.
Yeah, the mandates.
Yeah.
The mandates, the Vax-A-Million. I mean, that's pretty much a bribe, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you get the vax and you might win $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like pushing something on people.
It was strange stuff.
That was a tough period for a lot of people. So what else? Is there anything that you want the people out there to hear about and fit this into? Who can vote for you from what towns?
So the first Middlesex District is Pepperell, Ashby, Townsend, Groton, Dunstable, and Lunenburg.
That's not that big.
It's not that big. Six towns.
Senators
small
have a
towns.
lot bigger.
Yes, they do. They
Committee
do.
people have a lot bigger.
So
area.
that's why we've been really reaching out. We've been knocking doors. I've knocked almost 4,000 doors myself this summer and fall, and just putting a lot of miles out, trying to meet the people and hear their issues, talk to them about what's important to them, and hopefully really bring some changes back and represent them well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot. I mean, you're out there, you're trying to make some changes. You can see where there's improvement that's needed. And you have a background in business and health. We'd like to see some better health initiatives in the state. So let's end it on a positive note. What would you like to keep going well that you think is something that makes it worth it to live here now?
What is going well in Massachusetts? Oh boy, Kathy, that's a tough one. I'm trying to be positive. I love our culture in Massachusetts. I love our beaches, our cities, our restaurants, and just the people that I think is, it makes it a great place to live. And that's why I'm doing this, because I really want to work for the people I want to serve. I've always wanted to serve. And that's what I think I'll do well on.
It is a beautiful state. I mean, driving around, especially in New England at this time of year with all the different colors.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Very pretty, and it's been very warm lately. Very nice driving around today. The summers are not too hot. They're very beautiful as well. Winters tend to be long.
They do.
But if you're a skier, that's great.
That's yeah.
But family, you have lots of family around?
I do have lots of family around. I'm a family person. Everybody who knows me knows that. My mother was a realtor in our town for 40 years. I was also a realtor, still am actually. So I'm also very in tune with real estate, the needs of housing and things like that. But yes, we're very well entrenched in my community. I've lived there my whole life. And my kids lived there, went to school there, so it means a lot to me. The district means a lot to me.
Well, I, for one, am glad you're here, and I look forward to seeing more of you. Tell people how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to.
To get in touch with me, you can reach me through my website, which is vote, V-O-T-E, for the number 4, Lynne, Lynne.com. So that's voteforlynne.com. And they reach out to me anytime that way, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or give them information.
So I want to thank WestfordCAT for helping us today. I want to thank Lynne Archambault, and I wish the very best to you in your future endeavors. I want to thank the viewers for being here for the first episode of Press Forward, and stay tuned for the next show. Have a good day or evening, whichever it is. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.